Good morning, friends, and welcome to episode 82 of Looking at Stamps. And today we are going to continue with our Authors Week, and we're going to add two more stamps to the Literary Arts series. The first is Scott number 2047. This is Nathaniel Hawthorne. This was released in 1983. Hawthorne had a variety of jobs. He was a reluctant student and even more of a reluctant writer, and had to be pressed into publishing his writings. He was mainly known primarily at the beginning as an essayist and as a newspaper man, and he actually published several newspapers, local newspapers in his area. He was born and raised in New England. He was known for his writings of Massachusetts, namely Salem, and it was as his job as a tax assessor and surveyor in Salem that he wrote The Scarlet Letter, his most often cited work. He also wrote The House of Seven Gables, and in 1950 he befriended Herman Melville while Melville was writing Moby Dick. So that is Nathaniel Hawthorne. I really like this stamp. It's a very striking image of a stamp, and this is 2047. It's rather apropos that we go to Herman Melville. This is Scott number 2094. This was issued in 1984. He was best of friends with Nathaniel Hawthorne, and he even dedicated his book Moby Dick to Hawthorne in token of my admiration of his genius. I knew Melville from Moby Dick, but also as the book or short story Billy Budd. He was the first author to have his collected works published by the Library of America. He wrote about New England, Massachusetts, even though he was born in New York, and wrote some of Moby Dick while he was in New York. When I was at the orphanage, we had to read the first 100 pages of every book that we came across, and we had a very limited library, so I read everything that we could. And in the 5th grade I read Moby Dick because it was the last book that I hadn't read, and I didn't understand most of it, but I could say that I read Moby Dick, the biggest book in the library at the orphanage, in the 5th grade. So there we go, my claim to fame. So that is Herman Melville. This is 2094. And the next stamp we're going to talk about is Jack London. This is not part of the Literary Arts series, but this is part of the Great American series. This is a series of 64 stamps issued between 1980 and 1994. They're all of the same definitive size of 7/8 by 1/6 by 1 inch. These are all just usually engraved images and usually a singular color, so it's very typical of the style. This stamp was issued in 1988. Jack London was an opium smuggler, a seal hunter, an oyster pirate, a Klondike miner. Most claim to fame were his books called The Wild, White Fang, The Sea Wolf. I grew an very early affliction or admiration to his particular books. They're such escapists for me, and I really traveled the world through his books. And still to this day, sometimes I wonder if it was because of him that I joined the Navy. He wrote during the great Alaskan gold rush, so his areas are Alaska and Klondike mining. And that is Jack London, Scott number 2182. And that's all the time we have for today. Have a great day, and I'll talk with you tomorrow. Bye-bye.